There have been more than 370 mass shootings in this country so far this year. That's according to the Gun Violence Archive. A mass shooting is defined as a shooting with 4 or more people who get shot. Now, even in states with relatively strong gun laws, officials are working to get firearms off the street. For more on this, I want to bring in Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. Attorney General Ellison, thank you so much for being here as a fellow Minnesotan. I appreciate your time. Your office filed in support of the ATF in a lawsuit involving a Texas ghost gun manufacturer. So remind us, what exactly is a ghost gun and how big of a problem have these been when it comes to gun violence across the country?
A ghost gun is a exploitation of a loophole. If you sell a gun that it's not fully put together, it's missing parts of it, you can sell it as gun parts, and then you can just get the other parts and assemble it yourself. It's sort of a DIY gun. But if I told you that I'm going to sell you a car and I didn't put wheels or a steering wheel on it, it'd still be a car. But for ghost guns, what the Biden administration is doing and what state AGs like myself are doing is standing with them and helping to have a policy where these guns would have to have a serial number on it. The body and the frame would have to have a serial number. That they could only be sold by manufacturers and licensed dealers who could be held accountable. The real problem is that these guns are not really traceable. Now, some people will say, well, you can trace them through ballistics instrumentality and through things like that, but that's not realistic. The fact is they're not practically traceable, which means you don't know who bought it. What we do with gun trace data is if you find a gun at a crime, you can figure out where it was sold, who it was sold to, and you can hold somebody accountable. Untraceable guns, you just can't do that. So they're particularly dangerous, and law enforcement officials in my state are telling me as many as half the guns that they're taking off people are these ghost guns. Some of them have had automatic mechanisms put in them so that they can shoot in a repeating style like a machine gun. Very dangerous. And when you see people get shot who are not the target, it's because these guns are actually quite hard to control for the shooter, which leads to even more people being injured and killed. So that's what a ghost gun is. That's why we need to regulate them.
All right, so let's talk about what you're trying to do there in Minnesota. According to Everytown for Gun Safety, Minnesota ranks 17th in the country for gun law strength. So what are you trying to do to improve that?
Well, what we're trying to do is make sure that every gun sold has a serial number on it. What we want to do is make sure that when gun retailers sell guns, that they're not selling to straw purchasers. It's very important for any gun retailer to not sell a gun to a person who they have reason to believe is just going to turn around and sell it to a prohibited person, a person who may have a felony or a prior domestic violence case. These are the kind of things we've got to do. We've got to reduce the number of these guns in circulation. You cannot have a serious conversation about public safety without dealing with the guns. In Minnesota, we've had 462 people die in the last year, and as many as 680 people get shot, and firearms are the leading cause of death among children and teens in Minnesota. We've got to do something about it. It's an urgent problem.
All right, back in May, the Minnesota legislature blocked your request to bolster a team that was helping county attorneys prosecute criminal cases. At the time, You blamed that 98% on Republicans. Can you explain what you meant by that, and how do you view this as complicating your efforts to fight crime in Minnesota?
Well, in Minnesota, the Attorney General is the prosecutor of last resort, meaning that local crime is prosecuted by local prosecutors. But for about half the counties in Minnesota, there are only about 3 or 4 or maybe less county attorneys. So if there's a murder or a rape or a case involving DNA, they turn to us. We prosecuted over 39 murders and criminal sexual conducts, including 20 different counties. When we went to the legislature and said we need more help to protect more people, they told us no. They blocked a gun safety bill, they blocked a crime prevention bill, and they certainly blocked our effort to have more people prosecute criminals, which is an awful thing because victims need people to be held accountable when they lose loved ones or people suffer. And it's very frustrating, but we're not going to quit. We're going to keep on doing all we can to defend Minnesotans and hold violent criminals accountable.
All right, I want to shift gears here for a minute. You announced your office will not challenge a ruling that struck down many state abortion restrictions. Can you just kind of let us know what went into that decision and how do you see this playing out in Minnesota?
Well, look, this lawsuit was filed 3 years ago, and these were statutes that did not ban abortion, but they restricted it and slowed it down. And 3 years ago, advocates, plaintiffs sued to try to get these laws struck down. We defended the statute because even though I do believe in the right to an abortion, as Attorney General, it's also my job to stand up and defend state statutes. 3 years, 4,000 hours our staff put into this, over $600,000 worth of salary devoted to defending this, and a judge issued a ruling which was 140 pages long and carefully detailed why these statutes were not constitutional. Therefore, we took 2 weeks to read every word of the opinion, read it twice, had ample conversations, and decided that our likelihood of success was very low, and that the energy and time that we would expend in appealing these decisions would be very high. And therefore, I concluded that we were not going to appeal, that the chances that the Minnesota Supreme Court, interpreting the Minnesota state constitution, was going to overrule Judge Gilligan, we thought was wrong. And so we did not pursue an appeal, which I think is in the best interest of the people of the state. So as of now, these laws which restrict the right to abortion, they don't ban it, but they certainly do interfere with it, which we defended because they were duly passed. We are not appealing, though, the court's decision to strike those laws down.
All right. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, thank you for your time.
Thank you.